Immutability reinforces this trust by ensuring that once evidence is recorded, it cannot be altered without detection. Write-once or version-controlled storage platforms, such as Worm, write-once, read-many, or blockchain-based repositories, preserve the integrity of historical records. Deletion rights should be restricted to designated custodians who operate under dual control, minimizing the risk of accidental or malicious removal. Automated expiration alerts help enforce policy timelines, while periodic retrieval tests confirm that data remains accessible and intact. By maintaining immutable repositories, organizations demonstrate that their evidence is not only available but also incorruptible, a critical distinction under SOC 2's monitoring and confidentiality principles. Automation and metadata management bring structure and scale to evidence operations. When evidence is uploaded, the system should automatically attach metadata such as control ID, owner, date of collection, and audit period. These fields provide instant context and prevent loss of traceability. To maintain integrity, critical metadata attributes should be locked against manual editing. Quarterly audits of metadata completeness ensure consistency across repositories and highlight any missing records before an auditor does. By combining automation with metadata governance, organizations move beyond file storage to intelligent, searchable, and fully auditable evidence repositories. An effective evidence collection workflow transforms a chaotic process into a repeatable system. Teams must know exactly how and where to submit artifacts and who approves them. Evidence should be stored in canonical folders or repositories organized by control ID or audit section. Each submission should include validation by a compliance or quality assurance reviewer, confirming that the artifact meets scope and relevance requirements. Visibility across functional teams, security, IT, HR, and legal, ensures that no single department operates in isolation. This level of workflow maturity enables the compliance team to maintain complete, consistent evidence sets ready for auditor sampling at any time. Integrity validation is the safeguard that ensures evidence remains unaltered after collection. Computing cryptographic checksums or hash values for every file creates a unique digital signature that can be re-verified later. Periodic validation, quarterly or semi-annual, detects corruption, accidental modification, or tampering. Each validation event should produce a report showing success rates and any anomalies, along with remediation actions taken. Storing these validation logs as part of the evidence set provides auditors with a clear record of ongoing oversight. In essence, integrity validation converts trust into verifiable mathematics, giving confidence that no file has silently degraded or changed since submission. Storage and redundancy are critical for long-term availability. Evidence should reside in encrypted storage systems with redundancy across multiple secure regions. Encryption protects confidentiality, while redundancy protects against data loss. Backup restorations should be tested at least annually, confirming that archived evidence can be retrieved intact. Logs from these tests form part of the audit record, demonstrating that availability commitments extend to stored evidence as well. These controls ensure that evidence remains durable, recoverable, and usable for both operational reference and future audit requirements. Access control and monitoring protect the sanctity of the evidence repository. Access should follow a strict least privilege model. Only authorized personnel with a legitimate compliance function should have visibility. Multi-factor authentication and just-in-time access requests prevent unnecessary exposure. Every download, modification, or permission change must be logged automatically, with periodic reviews by internal audit. Retaining these access logs allows for sampling during SOC 2 fieldwork, proving that evidence handling is not only secure but continuously monitored. Strong access governance transforms evidence repositories into auditable systems of record, trusted by both internal and external stakeholders. Finally, archival and deletion processes ensure that the evidence lifecycle concludes securely and responsibly. When retention periods expire, evidence should move into encrypted cold storage or undergo documented destruction. Deletion events must be approved, time-stamped, and accompanied by destruction certificates for record keeping. Annual reviews of retention and deletion logs confirm policy adherence and help detect any unauthorized activity. This disciplined closure of the evidence lifecycle satisfies both compliance and privacy obligations, balancing transparency with data minimization. A well-executed archival process demonstrates the organization's commitment to responsible stewardship of its historical controls and compliance data. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Integrating legal holds into the evidence retention process ensures that critical records remain protected during investigations, disputes, or audits. When a legal hold is initiated, all related evidence must be exempted from scheduled deletion or archival routines. Each hold should document the reason, authorizing official, and affected custodians, with confirmation that they have received notification. Legal and compliance teams must coordinate to verify that holds remain active only as long as necessary, releasing them promptly once cases close. Every step, from initiation to release, should be logged for traceability. This integration ensures compliance with legal preservation obligations while maintaining alignment with SOC 2's requirements for accountability and monitoring under CC5. Vendor and sub-service provider considerations extend the chain of custody beyond internal systems. When third-party platforms host evidence repositories or backup solutions, the organization must ensure these providers meet immutability and security expectations. Reviewing each vendor's SOC 2 or ISO 27001 report confirms alignment with confidentiality, availability, and integrity controls. Retention policies must be reconciled with contractual terms to avoid premature deletion or unverified storage. Providers should also participate in annual assurance reviews to validate ongoing compliance. Tracking each vendor's evidence lifecycle gives auditors confidence that third-party dependencies do not weaken the organization's assurance posture. In SOC terms, this is proof of continuous oversight, not just contractual reliance. For Type 2 audits, evidence retention must be precise and period-specific. Artifacts must cover the full audit operating period, typically 6 to 12 months, plus an additional buffer to accommodate review cycles. Segregating evidence by period, using labeled folders or repository tags, prevents confusion during subsequent audits. Access should remain available until the next audit is complete, ensuring continuity and cross-referencing capability. The repository's fold-in structure should mirror the control framework, making it intuitive for auditors to locate artifacts quickly. This disciplined approach streamlines evidence collection, prevents version mix-ups, and reinforces the organization's readiness to demonstrate ongoing control operation. Metrics and Key Risk Indicators, KRIs, bring measurable oversight to evidence governance. Useful indicators include the percentage of evidence validated with cryptographic hashes, the number of unauthorized access attempts, retrieval success rate during annual tests, and policy compliance by evidence owner. These metrics help identify weaknesses before they escalate into audit findings. For example, a declining hash validation rate could indicate storage corruption or process gaps, while access anomalies might signal privilege creep. Tracking and reporting these metrics quarterly provides transparency to leadership and confirms that evidence governance is a living, measurable process aligned with SOC 2's performance and monitoring expectations. Incident handling for evidence tampering must be deliberate and documented. If a checksum or validation test reveals unauthorized modification, immediate escalation to compliance and internal audit is required. The affected storage systems should be isolated and an RCA conducted to determine whether the cause was procedural error, technical failure, or malicious action. Corrective measures, such as improved encryption, access reviews, or automation updates, must follow promptly. All steps, including discovery, investigation, and resolution, should be recorded as audit evidence. Demonstrating that tampering attempts are not only detected but systematically remediated shows that the organization maintains continuous integrity assurance throughout its evidence lifecycle. Cross-framework mapping strengthens efficiency and credibility. SOC 2 evidence retention requirements align closely with ISO 27001 Annex A, Information Lifecycle Management, and NIST Control AU9, Protection of Audit Information. Integrating these standards allows organizations to reuse artifacts across multiple frameworks, ensuring that data handling meets both security and legal defensibility standards. Evidence repositories can also support e-discovery and privacy frameworks by maintaining traceability of data lineage and access logs. By harmonizing these frameworks, organizations reduce redundancy and enhance consistency, ensuring that every audit, whether for SOC 2, ISO, or internal compliance, draws from the same authoritative source of immutable truth. Despite clear standards, several pitfalls commonly undermine evidence integrity. Missing chain of custody records from older audit cycles can weaken historical defensibility. Accidental deletions without documented approvals create gaps that auditors may flag as control deficiencies. Data migrations conducted without post-transfer hash verification risk silent corruption. These issues are best resolved through automation and redundancy. Automated hash validation, version-controlled repositories, and immutable backups that preserve every change event. By embedding integrity checks into daily workflows, organizations eliminate the fragility of manual processes and maintain a continuous assurance posture that aligns with SOC 2's availability and integrity objectives. Training and awareness sustain the human side of evidence governance. All employees involved in control execution or evidence handling must understand their roles in retention, labeling, and confidentiality. Training modules should demonstrate repository use, metadata tagging, and the process for submitting evidence through approved workflows. Annual refresher sessions and certification quizzes reinforce accountability. Recording training completions in a learning management system creates auditable proof that staff are qualified to handle evidence properly. In the SOC 2 context, this reinforces governance under CC1, demonstrating that employees are both competent and aware of their responsibilities in maintaining control evidence. Strong governance and accountability transform evidence retention from a passive process into an active control system. Assigning clear roles, such as evidence custodians, compliance reviewers, and repository administrators, ensures ownership at every stage of the evidence lifecycle. Periodic repository audits should verify adherence to retention schedules, hash validation frequency, and access restrictions. Findings and remediation progress must be tracked through governance dashboards and summarized in quarterly reports. This governance cadence creates transparency, closing the loop between operational evidence management and executive oversight. It also demonstrates to auditors that management actively evaluates and improves evidence governance performance over time. The maturity of evidence retention programs can be assessed through levels of automation and control integration. Organizations typically begin with manual folder structures, then progress to structured repositories with standardized metadata. As maturity grows, automated validation pipelines calculate and verify checksums, producing real-time integrity dashboards. The most advanced programs adopt immutable or blockchain-based storage, creating permanent, tamper-evident audit trails. These systems combine automation with cryptographic assurance, making evidence both durable and provably authentic. This evolution mirrors SOC 2's maturity philosophy. Controls should move from manual and reactive to automated, measurable, and continuously verifiable. Evidence expectations for SOC 2 auditors are detailed but straightforward. They include hash validation reports demonstrating data integrity, retention and deletion logs confirming policy adherence, access audit trails proving least privilege enforcement, and vendor assurance statements validating subservice reliability. Training records, governance minutes, and repository configuration snapshots round out the evidence package. Together, these artifacts prove that evidence retention is systematic, traceable, and resilient. For auditors, such documentation is more than compliance. It's a sign of a disciplined control culture that prioritizes integrity and accountability at every level of operation. As organizations mature, their evidence management evolves from reactive cleanup to proactive governance and predictive validation. Automated systems can flag anomalies before audits begin, while predictive analytics can identify at-risk repositories or storage degradation trends. The goal is continuous assurance, where evidence not only exists but actively proves its own integrity. This state represents the ideal intersection of technology, process, and governance envisioned by SOC 2. A dynamic environment where proof of compliance is not manually assembled, but automatically maintained, verified, and ready for inspection at any time. In summary, evidence retention, chain of custody, and immutability together create the trust foundation of every SOC2 program. Through well-defined policies, automation, and governance, organizations can ensure that their evidence remains accurate, secure, and defensible over the long term. Validation and metadata integrity transform ordinary files into auditable proof, while immutable storage guarantees authenticity. By aligning these practices with SOC2, ISO, and NIST frameworks, organizations build resilience and accountability into the heart of their compliance operations. Looking forward, cloud-specific architectures and immutable ledger technologies will further strengthen this model, ushering in an era where evidence itself becomes a continuously verified asset, not just a byproduct of audit preparation.